Okay. Joe, why don't you give us a summary of what the citation is in regards to?
Okay, 165 Williamsburg was based on a complaint from an adjacent neighbor about essentially a chicken coop, a rather substantial chicken coop. I believe it was in the neighborhood of like 20 foot by 30 feet that had been constructed in the backyard without a permit. The neighbor's complaint was about the size of the chicken coop, non-permitted structure, and it would also, the abutting neighbor claimed that it was on her property. I contacted the owner of 165, Maria Oliveira, and explained the situation to her. I said I was going to be sending a citation. We did that, and the citation has several items checked off. It was the keeping of animals, it was constructing a building structure without permits, and those are the two primaries on the complaint, on my citation. And it took a little bit of time to work through the process. I was in communication with the property owner at 165 during that time. She had to get some money together in order to do a survey. I imagined that was the best way to do this. And we both agreed that I would give her a little bit of time extension to get the survey done. She did do the survey. We have a copy of the survey and a copy of the application for a shed. The shed has now been relocated onto the property for 165. It is setback compliant. It's been reduced in size to, I think it's roughly 12 by 14, which does not require a building permit. And it's going to be used for the housing of 12 female fowl or less. Previously, there were more animals than were allowed. So at this point, I've been out to the site. I've inspected it. It appears to meet the setback requirements. And the coop is, I'm now in the process of permitting the shed on the property. So at this point, we would have to say that that situation has been resolved.
Okay, so they brought everything into compliance and, you know, did everything necessary to bring everything into compliance. So I guess, you know, we'll notify them that they're in compliance and note the file. So
correct. But obviously, I'll send a follow-up letter to the property owner 165 and essentially give them a result of the hearing, your decision, and we can at this point close this out.
Yeah, close it out. They're in compliance now. They've filed whatever paperwork they needed to file, and they've, you know, they've conducted the survey. So yeah, I'm good with shutting this down.
Good.
With no further action.
Perfect. Thank you. I think that'll set. The neighbors apparently appear to be satisfied about the whole thing. Actually, I was glad that the property owner 165 was able to get the survey done. It actually produced some real changes for not only the abutters, but people up and down the street. Everybody thought their property was more of a rectangle. It's more of a trapezoid going up and down the entire street. So everybody is now a little bit more aware of where their lines actually are. So bizarrely enough, it turned out to be more of a benefit for everybody than a hindrance. So I was glad about that.
Except for the pocketbooks of the people needing the survey. So, but anyway, let's close this out. If she's in compliance now, or they are in compliance now, then I'm good with closing this down.
Okay, great. I'm noticing that another person seemed, Mr. Pete Metropolis, has seemed to have joined this Zoom meeting, but I have no.
Yes, I was just taking a look to see what was on the agenda for tonight. I know I was looking at the planning and zoning agenda earlier, or it's a little later tonight. I just thought I'd listen in. I own the property at all the surrounding property over by the quarry at 64 Cambridge. I own the property.
Yes. Elizabeth, there is a citation and a cease and desist order issued on that property that has nothing to do with any of our conversations tonight.
All right. Are you Joe? I just logged in.
Yes.
Oh, great. Hi, Joe. Okay, we've chatted on the phone. I just
we have.
check out. All right, take care. I'm going to log
Okay,
out.
all right, thanks, Pete. Elizabeth, we're back to where we started a minute ago.
Yeah, so let's close out. It's 5:36, and we're going to close out the Williamsburg Drive citation hearing.
Yep.
For CZV 2020-04. So that's considered closed. Now, is it just the two of us on the line, or is the third party?
Yes, apparently, yes. Well, yes, I've just seen the two of us. Correct.
I just want to make sure because I don't want to miss anything or
Yes,
whatever.
correct.
Okay,
I didn't,
so
yes.
let's go on to Flint Ridge. Call to order the hearing on citation notice CZV 2020-03, 54 Flint Ridge Road. Hearing officer Elizabeth Edgerton and zoning enforcement officer Joseph Chapman are in attendance. And Joe, if you could please give a summary for the record of what this is in regards, because I think this one has also been resolved.
Actually, this one is. I think I'm gonna ask for for continuance on this one.
Okay.
To start back at the beginning of this is based on a complaint from an adjacent neighbor about a dog training facility being run at the property at 54 Flint Ridge, owned by Kraus.
Okay.
It turns out that the original complaint was based on a somewhat unusual situation. Apparently, there were three different groups using the property. Yankee Paws or Yankee Peddlers was one group. There's another group, a Connecticut Portuguese Water Dog Club, and another group, which is a National Portuguese Water Dog Club, which apparently had a couple of national level meets at that property. What the problem that generated was you had cars parking all up and down the street, on the lawn, difficulty getting in and out of your driveway, people damaging grass areas, on adjacent properties, that type of thing. This is kind of an unprecedented event, but it did happen several times, and the neighbors finally said they've had enough of this. So they contacted me and said, we need to do something about this. So I went down there several times. I met with the people from one of the groups, the Portuguese Water Dog Club, and they freely admitted, yes, we did have a national level meet here. By national level, I mean all the way from Maine down to Maryland. People would come.
Yep.
And they'd have, it would be a competition for the dog. Apparently, the Portuguese water dogs are a rare breed. They're trying to reintroduce the breed and keep the bloodlines as pure as possible. And this is one place where they can actually do this. So I have actually a letter from, which I believe, Elizabeth, I had emailed to you, from the attorney who's acting for one of the groups, that the national group will no longer be having any of the national or regional or local meetings at 54 Flint Ridge. There was advertising for one of the smaller groups. Now, by smaller group, I mean anywhere from 4 to 6 people involved in a water dog club. So the smaller Portuguese Water Dog Club is local. They were having advertising. They were charging a small fee for the meetings there, essentially to cover their costs. And, I guess they'd have a yearly party in the end, that type of thing. We have, I believe in that letter, it says that has now been completely removed. There's no further advertising. There's no fees charged. The times that I've been down there recently, essentially what you've got is 3 to 4 to 5 women meeting down at the beach as a group of friends with their dogs. And the dogs play around in the water, and they throw the chew toy for them, and the dog fetches it, and they shake themselves off. They go back in the water again. They essentially follow commands to how to behave with other dogs, how to fetch a chew toy in the water, essentially how to wear a float jacket if they need it, that kind of thing. I'd have to say,
so now they're operating. Now they're operating more like a hobby club.
Absolutely, yes. From what I can see, there's no fees. It's pretty loosely organized, only in the fact that they only meet there during the warm summer months. It's definitely a hobby club. I don't see it as anything more intrusive than a group of friends meeting down at a property that's got beachfront, and they're hanging around. It's really more of a social event than anything else. They bring their beach chairs, they hang out, they watch the dogs, they chat, talk about dog-related stuff, and whatever else comes to mind. And so I definitely say that it's not any kind of it's not a business. It's more of a hobby. Yes, it's definitely, I would classify it as a hobby group.
Okay, so if we don't have any regulations against hobby club meetings on residential property, correct?
Correct, yes.
I didn't see anything, so.
Right. So both of these groups are going to be following the same format for what they're actually doing there. The other group, the Yankee Paws, are essentially the same type of operation. The one group meets there, let's say Tuesday and Thursday for 2 hours. Another group might meet there on Wednesday and Friday for a couple of hours. It depends on the weather. It depends on who's available. So this is not some kind of a rigid, we're going to be there every week. It is only during the warmer summer months in any case. So again, it's a hobby group. They follow the same format at this point. So I'd have to say that for all practical purposes, now I am waiting for further affidavits from the attorney that'll be provided to us from the two groups, essentially stating exactly what we talked about and what the attorney mentioned in her email to myself that I forwarded to you.
Right. Okay.
So I do think from a practical standpoint, we can, I think if we kind of just suspend this until we get the rest of the information from the attorney, we could say that when this comes in, we just have a brief phone conversation, either that or another Zoom meeting, and we could then, I feel pretty comfortable in saying at that point we can close this out.
Okay, so let's suspend the hearing for CZV 2020-03, hold it in continuance until further information is received. We'll leave the hearing open, we won't close it, and go from there.
Okay, that sounds very workable.
Yeah, God forbid we go after hobbyists, because then we're going to have a lot more things going on.
Yeah, this is clearly to me just that. And I really think that the big boogaboo with the neighbors of this national meeting, I think that once we show that it's not a business and that they're not going to have the national meeting anymore, I think we can put this to bed.
How long ago was the national meeting?
That was last year.
Okay, so they had one event or two events and then nothing else. Correct,
yes.
Okay.
When I spoke to the owner of the property and the people who are with one of the groups, I made it very clear to them that they were very understanding. They were very, they could understand what was the problem with the neighbors. The national meeting, that was something very unusual. And they said, okay, you know what, we're gonna stop that. There's gonna be no more of that.
Okay.
So they're very cooperative.
Yeah. All right. So let's put this in suspension pending further information.
Right.
Okay. But at the same time, the longer the attorney takes, these fines are still going to accrue until we have resolution. So.
Right. Which they understand.
You need to please make sure they're aware of that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the attorney's done a new shell, and she seems like she's really on top of things. So I'm not expecting to have to wait too much longer.
Yeah. No. I'm good with that.
Good.
All right. I have a couple Portuguese water dogs up the street from me, so.
Oh, maybe it's
very,
all I know.
Very well of the.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's members
like
of the same group for all I know.
Yeah, they look like a cross between poodles and retrievers, like a Irish setter or something like that. They look like a cross. So yeah, I'm familiar with the water dogs, but I'm also familiar. There's a lot of people with hobbies in this town, and we just maybe a recommendation to the zoning board should be that they advertise rules for hobbyists or something. But
Right.
that's not you or me, but that's something that can be put on there, because if people are going to start, what it is in this day and age with the COVID, people are going to start complaining about any gathering. So,
Right.
you know,
Or
it's
on the other
going to
hand, they do
be,
want to get out of the house and do this social thing. So, sure. Yep.
So anyway, so we'll suspend it. All
Okay.
right. So we've suspended it. It's now 5:46 p.m. We're going to go into CZV 2020-02 for 590 Main Street.
Yes.
Again, Elizabeth Edgerton, hearing officer, and Joseph Chapman, zoning enforcement officer, are in attendance. Joe, can you see if there's anybody else in attendance?
No.
Okay. Hearing that, why don't you give me a summary of, or for the record, give a summary for the of what this citation is involving.
Okay. This is again based on a complaint, a direct complaint from several abutting neighbors on Bart Road. This concerns a business that opened up at 590, which is at the intersection of Main and Bart Road, at the end of Bartostic Shopping Center there. It used to be a garage years ago. It's been empty, and then a place that came to us and wanted to open up a tire repair shop. We issued a permit for that with certain conditions that were supposed to be met as part of the approval. One of the problems that we've got from a zoning standpoint is because those conditions have not been met. The complaints from the neighbors were the fact that there were a minimum of one and sometimes two semi-trailer trailer vehicles parked in back of the building. We not only had that, but there was a boat parked there alongside the building, which is not permitted. And there was also vehicles parked out in locations on the property that were also not approved for parking. The one that really drove the neighbors to complain was the fact that this tractor trailer would primarily be there and just sat there, and it wasn't like it came and went. I'd been to the property several times, spoke to the operator of the business. He said, I'm waiting to get my my DOT licenses straightened out. Just give me a little bit of time. I worked with them. Time went by. Trucks didn't move. Went back, had more complaints. Talked to them again. Trucks still weren't moving. I'm still waiting for my licenses, et cetera, et cetera. It just went on and on and on. And finally, we got to the point of, I said to the guy, look, I can't help you with this anymore. We're going to send you the citation. We had a little bit of time lag because of the who we had to send the citation to. We originally sent it to the property owner. That's not their address. It turns out we had to resend it all down to 2 addresses down in Virginia. Sally Ann Gibson actually responded to us with her brother. They were aware of the problems there. They told us that they were in the process of evicting the tenant because of non-payment of rent. The whole COVID thing was taking place. I think there was a little bit of delay in evictions because of that. And I spoke to Ms. Gibson last week, and I told her we're going to be having a hearing. She said, I'll get you the information on the eviction notice that our attorney has got, but it might take a little bit of time to do that. Apparently, the attorney is also down in Virginia, or he's up. I think, no, excuse me. They're both down there. I think the attorney might be in Madison. And so there seems to be a little bit of time lag. They're not the most timely folks I've ever dealt with, but she did say, if you give us a little bit more time, I'll get the information to you, showing what we're doing about getting this tenant out of there. I said, fine, I'll bring that up to the hearing officer, and I will recommend that we leave the hearing open. We suspend it temporarily, and when I get the information, we'll reopen this again, and based on the information we get, if it seems to be something we can work with you on, then we'll bring that up at when we reopen the hearing.
Okay, so right now I would say that we don't have but at the same time, is whether or not they're evicting the tenant doesn't make the fact that violations have occurred or
correct, and are continuing to occur.
And now, are the Gibsons or the people you're talking to, are they the owners of Bart Center, and this property is considered part of Bart Center? Or
correct.
Is it a separate parcel?
No, it is one parcel. The 590 is actually the legal assessor's card address.
Okay.
So I think you notice on the citation, there's actually two addresses, Elizabeth.
Okay.
So one is
I'm
just
looking
literally
at
a
it
mailing
now.
address with a tire shop.
Okay, I see. That's the difference. Okay.
Yes. So,
And the
yes,
pictures,
the gifts are actually Bartosik, if I remember correctly, was the father who owned the property. It passed to
yep.
Sally Ann and her brother. And I believe the brother is still Bartosik and Gibson is Sally Ann that went through the marriage.
Yeah, the father died. There was an uncle involved. Yeah, this is a family-owned property. I that's been there all my life. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yes,
And
I'm sure you know as well.
Yeah, you sent me the pictures. It doesn't look like they're doing any business there. So,
Yeah, we're
so the
really not sure what they're
recommendation
doing, to be honest with you, because there's really, it's not like somebody's operating what you would describe as a going business.
Yeah, it doesn't. It looked abandoned for. I was just there the other day on that side of town. So, I'm aware of the building. I'm aware of the. I never knew that the garage was part of Bart Center.
Right.
But so your recommendation is pending additional information. We suspend the hearing. My take on this is, and normally I wouldn't deliberate, but it is an open line. My take on this is that the business owner has been violating.
Right.
If he brings everything into compliance, then that's a different story. It sounds like he's not bringing things into compliance, and you have property owners who, are, as a result of their tenant being in violation, they're in violation. So, until they bring everything into compliance and we get that additional information, I can't render a judgment per se.
Right.
So, I mean.
Right. So again, so if you're thinking like I am that we leave this open.
Yeah, but I would watch the guy and see if he's still in non-compliance with the storage of vehicles and the trucks and stuff. If he's still doing that, then we're going to have to refer this out to the town, because he's obviously not willing, even though he's accruing fines, they're accruing fines, they're not willing to even try to bring this into compliance. So, so let's suspend it for now.
Okay.
And then, we'll go from there. This hearing will also be continued for CZV 2020-02 per recommendation of Joseph Chapman. We keep the citation open and pending additional information from both the business owner and the property owner. So, so we'll close that out. The chicken folks can be closed out entirely, and we're going to keep open the dog and tire people.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Is there anything else?
No, at the moment, Elizabeth, as you said, since there's just the two of us, this is being recorded, as we all know, and I think at this point, if we'd like to close this hearing out, we can both sign off, and I guess that'll shut it down.
Yeah, that sounds great. Again, if we need to have anything in before next month, just let me know and we'll get it together.
Great. Yeah, I mean, if we can do this, that's worked out pretty well for me. So if it works for you, then we can just do that again.
Yeah, I would just prefer, and we can talk offline about this. I used to get that nice file with everything in it.
Yes.
And it was a little harder on email. So let me think on how we can resolve with the email. The chicken or the dog one was a little simpler, but when it comes to these property, more complex properties, I really enjoy having that history in the file.
Right. Well, I know that I do have an idea of how we can work around that, so I think that's easily solvable.
Okay. All right. That sounds good.
Great. Okay. So now it's 6:55, 56.
It's 5:56, and we're going to shut everything down, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Good night.